there's many different types of spiritual awakenings, and they all have different characteristics to them. Like, for example, nirvana is about reaching a sense of enlightenment to where suffering does not exist for that person anymore. And we have here the Buddhist monk getting set on fire, and he doesn't flinch or scream or move a finger. This is a monk who's reached nirvana, at least we would assume, because he's able to sit there and literally not suffer while in the presence of suffering or pain. And this is a concept which is vaguely understood by many people, and you can't really find it in books. When you look up books on Buddhism, not too much come up that are actual scriptures. And there are some scriptures, but it's not like you get a whole entire Bible full of scriptures. And again, it's not like the Buddha wrote it himself, or these were accounts from people who existed during the Buddhist era. So enlightenment is close to awakening, but awakening is a little bit different. Enlightenment is the welcoming of thyself into all types and forms of knowledge. And we have little enlightenment spurts throughout the day when we realize something we didn't realize before, or when we understand something for the first time. And when you look in your head and you feel the enlightenment, it feels like gold energy rushing through your skull. But an awakening is where one awakes into something or from something. Awakening is implying that some are asleep, and when they reach enlightenment or reach a higher state of being, they will awake into a different state of mind. Now, I personally have gotten pretty close with this sense of awakening, and it was actually during a time when I had taken LSD, and I was getting extreme spurts of enlightenment. But I was also getting let's say, an ability to peek beyond the ether of reality and awaken into a higher or more esoteric self. But it wasn't the time for me to awake, because at that time I wasn't ready to deal with the possible consequences that I imagined could account for awakening. One of them was to see the universe as it really is. And when I see some of the smoke and mirrors behind reality, and I realized that this is an illusion. This isn't reality. Reality for us is to be in nature and one with God and one with ourselves. We are above the demons and above the animals. We are right there in the middle as people, but we're below the angels, the gods, and the higher beings of existence and God himself. So we're like almost in the center, or pretty much in the center, you know? And as a result, we get stuck into this world of illusion that we can fall senseless to because we remain asleep to it until our time of awakening. But when we reach higher states of enlightenment, we start to open up the doorway for awakening. And when we get to this doorway, what ends up happening is we're able to peek outside of existence and see things from the perspective of God. And there's a point to where you can awake to where everything is permanently changed. It's like seeing a picture that has two images in it, but you must turn it to see it the right way. That is what awakening is like. It's turning the picture and then seeing reality from a different perspective, which is not just a different perspective, but a more true representation of what it is from a godly standpoint of view. When I got close to awakening, my presence or my soul or being left my body for literally 1.5 seconds. And the Buddha had pulled me out, and he was actually saying that I was in a dangerous spot and that I shouldn't awake. You see, the thing is we are very cautious of what awakening is because we already know what it is in our eternal soul. So for our man to see it is just an agreement between all the species that we cooperate with. And for me personally, it wasn't the right time, because if I would have awoken, it would have been at a time where the universe was in a perception that was held fragilely and weak and not solid or created to last. And so now as I get closer to awakening, I can still see beyond the ether just a little bit to see things that other people can't necessarily explain or get to. And that's why you have a lot of people who awake and then they don't talk about it or can't talk about it.